Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Selectmen's Roundtable. I'm Beth Cassavant and I'm joined by my colleagues on the Board of Selectmen, John LeBeau, Mo DiPaolo, and John Samia. And we have a special guest with us today. Some of you might recognize Maribeth Lynch. She's very active in the community as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals and part of the Beal Reuse Committee. She's also the owner of Thrive Real Estate Specialists, which is located on Maple Avenue right next to Duncan. And since locating there, Maribeth has hosted numerous events designed to bring the community together. And my personal favorite was your last day of school ice cream truck, taking advantage of all those middle school kids that swarmed the streets around 11:30 and stopped by. I know my daughter was one that enjoyed a treat. So just finding ways to bring the community together and enjoy what we have to offer in the center of town. She's here today to liven up our usual show and talk about some of the endeavors that are going on with the Shrewsbury Town Center Association. So welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great. So why don't we start with what the Shrewsbury Town Center Association is for people who might not know. I know it's still a fairly new organization, but it certainly is interesting what you've been doing with your team working around town center issues. So,
sure. So Shrewsbury Town Center Association, we call ourselves STCA. Love the acronyms. We are a group of townspeople and business owners. We started about a year ago. It was back in May of 2018. And it really started with an observation that there were so many great things happening in downtown Shrewsbury that could be improved upon, and also the observation that a lot of towns like Shrewsbury, with the size of our town and the demographics, had viable, flourishing downtown centers, and we felt like maybe Shrewsbury could be improved upon. So I remember having a conversation with Moira Miller, who was a member of the Board of Selectmen at the time, and saying, what would you think about just forming a group? And she encouraged me to talk with different people at Town Hall. Kristen Laus was one of them, and that was really sort of the beginning of it. We all decided to start informally meeting to see if there was enough interest, and I think we had 3 or 4 people at our first meeting, and from there we've met regularly, monthly. And our mission statement, which John Sammy was kind enough to write down for me because I want to make sure I get it right, it's to improve, enhance, and foster economic and cultural development in the town center district of Shrewsbury. And that's it in a nutshell. So we're looking to just make downtown Shrewsbury a place where people would want to come and gather as a community and encourage more businesses and cultural events. And so that's how we started.
But it's grown quite a bit, though. How many people are involved in it now?
We have about 25 to 30 people who I would say regularly attend our meetings. So we did grow from a small little group to a larger group. And again, it's an open meeting. It's 8 o'clock the first Thursday of each month. It's over at our office at Thrive Real Estate. And so it has grown, and as with anything, once the word starts to get out and people start to realize what exciting things are happening, they want to become a part of it. So
what is when we talk about the town center district, what is that from a geography standpoint?
Geographically?
Yeah.
So when we did the master plan, I'm going to take a page from that book, the consultants defined downtown as, so of course the center of town where the library is. If you are heading south down towards about Patton School, north up to about Prospect Street, east to Central 1, so South Street, and west right around Town Hall. So that's about it. There's not actual dead hard stops, but that's about what we are calling the Town Center Association.
So you have a lot of businesses in that area. That it's not, when you think about the town center, you just think, all right, we're right there, right at the intersection, and just a couple of businesses that are there. But we have a lot of different types of businesses in town that people may not be familiar with. What other type of businesses who are part of the STCA?
That's a great question. So we have insurance people. We've got a number of attorneys. We've got restaurants. We've got Ellen Dolan from the library has been a big part very, very early on. We've got Melanie Petrucci, who represents both the Historic Society as well as an interested community member. Other businesses, we've got Central One involved, Avidia Bank very involved. Stephanie Luce from Avidia Bank has been very early on, very, very involved. So, and of course, we're continuing every month to get more people who say, hey, I'm in that town center district, can I get involved? And so that, I would say, covers the large majority of it.
That's great. Do you have another question?
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is a takeaway I'd see from this is that it provides really a lot of lessons learned and opportunities for all the business people to share knowledge or just the capacity of or day-to-day business and doing it in town. Some people being here longer than others, maybe what's worked, what hasn't. So is that a lot of informational exchange? Is that part of this too? Obviously, it's the broader scope of the town center, but is also an opportunity for businesses to exchange thoughts too? Is it sort of that way as well, or?
Yeah, I think the networking aspect of it has been a big component. I think that what the largest benefit for the businesses that I see involved are, again, looking at some of the neighboring towns and saying, how are they doing what they're doing? How have they grown to such enormous proportions? A great example would be Hudson. We've spent a lot of time studying Hudson and how they've really gone from a town that was very, very hard to even drive through to everybody wants to be in Hudson now. So yes, a lot of business practices, but I think more than that, a lot of people buying into the idea that it truly does take a community to get the network of people going and support the downtown area, and then from there it just continues to flourish.
And tying into that, and I'm going to get the name wrong, but the town center study that the town did, the town government, Bernie Cahill and Kristen Lass had headed that up through a grant we got from Mass Development, studied the center, and made a lot of observations and came up with a bunch of thoughts about how you make the center more vibrant. There were some really good ideas in there. I think a lot were actionable. One of the interesting things I took from it, in addition to all the ideas, was that you need a vibrant organization to carry that forward, take the ideas and carry that forward. And you started about the same time the study started, and actually they cite the Town Center Association as being critical to making this happen. So it was really nice to see the synergies between what government could do and what the public and a nonprofit, which you are now, right? 501(c)(3).
We just got identified as a 501(c)(3). Just got our paperwork back, so that was a big, big exciting step forward as well. But I think to your point, we took a little piece from all of the. We've got the wayfaring grant that's in place now. We had some parking studies done. All of these pieces, I think, were little parts to the puzzle, and we just kept. The Beale School, of course, the reuse committee that we were involved in, Mo. All of these things, the improvements to Main Street, they're all coming at exactly the right time. So in a way, it was the perfect storm. So it was almost waiting to be birthed, so to speak. And I think that the group of us that started it we just all identified it as a need and just ran with it. So that's how everything starts.
Certainly, it's not a new concept to have a business association, but in my memory, there was never been one in the center of town before. Whereas the Turnpike, there was a very active Boston Turnpike Business Association in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That sort of ran out of gas at the end. Truthfully, that organization was created when they started closing the, I don't know what you call them, the cut acrosses on Route 9?
The medians.
When they put in the median strips back in the 50s. That's what, because they wanted to shut down everything in Shrewsbury. That's always been an effort. And then now the Lakeway Business Association, and they've done some great work down there. So to get that input, not just ideas, I mean, honestly, to get some financial support of the businesses, it's in their enlightened self-interest to do that, but it certainly benefits the entire community. And you mentioned all the different things, even the you know, the acquisition of what's now the Champa Funeral Home,
Oh, yeah.
and just taking down those trees. Everybody
That's right.
was so shocked when those trees came down that you could drive down Maple Ave and then get the church. I mean,
That's right.
it became much more of an iconic view of the center of town. So it's all come together back in the early 2000s. There was a road improvement project in the center, and there was some, you know, that's when the enhanced streetlights came
lights
in,
went up.
and the, what do we call that?
The stamped concrete.
Thank you, stamped concrete,
Yeah.
brick-looking crosswalk. So it's been a steady process, but I really think this is something that can kind of get it to the next level.
We certainly hope so, and I would actually like to specifically mention that the Lakeway Business District was very, very helpful in the beginning in meeting with us and explaining sort of, they've been around for, I think, 10, 12 years, some of the early on challenges that they had. So we were able to sort of jump in very quickly, get our bylaws and our 501(c) and do all of that kind of housekeeping things ahead of time, so that once we got that all set, we could really roll up our sleeves and start to do the work that that we are really inspired to do.
So now that you're a 501c3, is that for fundraising purposes, or do businesses have to pay any sort of fee to be a part of the STCA?
Yep, another great question. We are working on that as we speak. We have a subcommittee working on sponsorship levels, and that is going to be finalized within the next 30 days. We have already received just some seed money from the initial businesses. There was obvious expenses that we had to cover right out of the gate, so we all said, let's just throw in a little bit of money and see where that takes us. And we've definitely gotten to a point where we have larger needs, larger expenses, so we are going to start to look at different levels of sponsorship, whether it be through businesses or private residents are welcome to be a part of that, and we'll have different levels for that. So I would say look for that in the next 30 days. And once we get that moving along, I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for people to become invested financially in it and really understand how that investment is going to serve us all to get better.
Maribeth, do you think, would you employ the banner sponsorship similar to what they do down in the Lakeway?
We've definitely been talking about that. That is definitely on our agenda. I mean, we basically can take a page from almost everything they've done and just apply it to the businesses that we have. You know, obviously different businesses, but absolutely the banners would be a big part of that.
So one of our, Mo and I, former colleagues, is also very active in your association as well, right?
Moira.
Former Selectman Miller?
Moira has been, honestly, Moira was the first person that I had my first conversation with, and she just understood immediately what could be. And so her original position was as a Board of Selectmen member. And then I think in May, when she stepped down after 12 long years of service.
They weren't so long.
Oh, come on. They were long, and she was great at what she did, and we're so lucky to have her. And so she now has another hat on, and she's amazing. As truly, if I started to name names, I would surely forget someone, so I'm not going to do that. But I can tell you, if you go onto our website, you will see the list of people that have been involved. And I will tell you, it is, of all of the organizations that I've been involved in, probably the most, the easiest to be a part of, because everybody just has a single focus on what we are trying to do, and everybody's doing heavy lifting equally, and it's just been fantastic. So
Great. So you have projects you're working on, I think?
we do.
Do you want to talk a little bit about those?
I will. So I don't think that really this is very public, but we are really excited. So part of our mission, of course, was to create a sense of community in downtown Shrewsbury. And so very early on, we started to think about all of the wonderful things that the Spirit of Shrewsbury offers for the town. And I think all of us look forward to that last weekend in September. It's like a homecoming weekend. So we said, well, if that happens in September, what other periods during the year could we do something that would be a great benefit to the community? And from that little discussion, of course, everything starts to just snowball. We formed a subcommittee, and we started working on what we're calling the Yuletide Market. So everybody that's listening should pencil in December 7th. It's going to be a big day in Shrewsbury. And it started out, we identified that date as being important because the library every year does a Santa arrives at the library, and they have photos with Santa, and we hear from Ellen that they get about 1,200 people at this event, which is a lot of people. So we decided to dovetail everything into working. So the beginning of the day will be Ellen's, all the library festivities around the Santa Claus. From there, if you remember, Champa Funeral Home has a mailbox in front of the funeral home. And so we said, well, what if we got, by the way, Dave Champa's been a wonderful partner in all of this as well. And so we said, well, we don't want to have two Santas, so why don't we have Santa at the library, and then have the elves bring the kids over to mail their letters that they're going to write in the mailbox in front of the funeral home. So that sounded like a great idea. And then, of course, we said, well, the adults and the children need a party afterwards. So that's the Yuletide Market. So it's going to be from 4 to 8 on December 7th. And again, started as a little tiny idea and has really kind of just blown up into something really exciting. So it's fashioned after the European outdoor Christmas markets, where you have lights, and it is absolutely, whatever the weather conditions are, we are going to be there. So whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's sunny and 80 degrees, we are going to have this market. It's going to be outside. So we decided that, of course, we needed vendors, and we also needed food. So food, drink, and vendors were our three primary goals. The first thing that we did was we got the food trucks, which is going to be awfully fun. So a couple of food trucks we have. We have Say Cheese.
Say no more.
Come on, the fig and
The fig and goat.
that's what everybody talks about, the fig and
Yep.
goat. So we will have Say Cheese there. They are very, very excited to be there. We have Shishka Berries, which is a locally owned, usually during the summer season, they do berries dipped in chocolate. But apparently, once the berry season passes, they do mini cheesecakes dipped in chocolate. So there you go. Put that on your list. And then we've got the Dog Father, which is hot dogs and sausages. How fun is that? So we had the food trucks, and then we said, well, of course we need beer. So it was just a fantastic opportunity that we were able to meet Paul Wengender, who owns the Greater Good Brewery in Worcester. If you have not been there, you need to go. We went out on a little road trip, and I'm not a beer drinker, and I can tell you their beer is amazing. And so we got into discussions with Paul, and he has decided I'm all in, and so he's going to be our beer vendor, and he will be selling his beer, just to be clear, and he's also going to be bringing some hard cider along. So we've got that, and then in addition, we've got some small, we've got about 5 vendors identified, really nice vendors that will be selling kind of holiday things, so to speak. And I'm going to name a few of them just so we make sure that everybody knows what they're going to look forward to. We've got Hebert's Candy. They're going to be doing something candy-related that will have a Shrewsbury theme to it, which is great. The Shrewsbury Country Shop, of course, Deb Cottam over right on the corner. She'll have her store open, but she'll be doing a small booth there. We've got Lavender and Life, which is a natural home, health, and beauty product line that come to the outdoor farmers market on Wednesdays. We have got Heart and Stone Jewelers, Artisans Jewelers, which is a wonderful. She's a local gal, and she does beautiful jewelry. The Shrewsbury Historic Society will be being involved. They're going to have wooden toys, things like that. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. So
Now, is that capacity, or do you still have room for more?
we would have room for a few more vendors. We are completely tapped out for trucks and for our drinks. We also have, we're going to be, we have singing. We have the a cappella group from the high school. We've got the choir from the Patton School. It's going to be great. We have the firefighters are going to be doing something exciting at the fire station. We are hoping it'll be chilly, but we're not sure on that. That's to be determined. We've got, it's going to be great. We are going to have so much fun. And so again, this is the first, our inaugural event, and we know that we'll get everybody out there, and before long it'll be a yearly event.
It'll
So
be another wonderful tradition like Spirit of Shrewsbury, right? 20-plus years.
I think it will. I think it absolutely will.
And this is all happening on the town common?
Yeah, so we're using Champa's parking lot as our staging area for the beer, the food, and the vendors. And then the Historic Society will be open, the fire department will be open to some degree, and on the Commons, we will have, just music, and people are more than welcome to wander around the Commons, and we've got another little treat on the Commons, but I'm sure you'll get to that.
So will all the consumables be in Champa's lot?
Yes, yes. We needed to try to make sure it was a hard surface, we had lighting, and we were working on how many coverings we want. Of course, if you're really an aficionado of the outdoor markets, they don't cover themselves. They let it just happen, but we thought maybe we would do some tents, so we're working on that as well.
Ease into the outdoor market feel.
I can see Beth's face. She's like, oh, I don't know, snow.
I'll
rain."
be there.
What part was it that
I'll
bothered
be there.
you?
No,
Was it
I
the
think
rain?
no. I will be there no matter what.
Of course you will. Of course.
I've marked it down now, and
Fantastic.
and I will be there, especially with the grilled cheese truck being there.
Yes.
My kids will be there also.
Yeah, you and
Definitely.
everybody else.
No, you have some really wonderful vendors set up, but 4 to 8 p.m. it'll be pretty dark. So what are your plans there?
We have lights, so Dave Champa has lots of lights, but we also will have, the strung lights. So we're hoping that there's going to be enough lights, but I know what you're getting at. We have another exciting thing. So as we did talk about lights, one of the conversations that we had in the parking lot of Champa was, why don't we try to light up the trees in downtown, in the Commons? If you remember last year, 2 days before Christmas, we always have the sing-along. There's another word for it.
Caroling
but
on the
Caroling
Carol
on
on
the
the Commons.
Commons.
Thank you. And last year, we were a brand-new group. We decided to put candles along the walkway because we wanted some festive lights. It was pretty. It was a lot of work. And so that sort of spurred on conversations about the lack of electricity on the Commons. There's no way to light the trees up because the only place that has electricity right now is the gazebo. So we said, well, what would it take to bring electricity to the Commons? And we were told that it would be require some trenches dug, and it was going to be costly. And so we said, well, how much? What's costly? And so they gave us the number, and we said, well, if we did private fundraising, this is a conversation, by the way, with Mike Hale. Great support from Mike and John Laverty, the electrical inspector, and so they helped us kind of understand what the scope would be and the financial investment. And we said, well, if we did private fundraising, could we have a partnership between the town and get this to happen? And Kevin Mizikar met with us and agreed that he thought, based on conversations with the Board of Selectmen, that it would be something that we could make happen. And so as a result, we did raise the money very quickly. It was not hard to get 8 or 10 businesses to all agree to donate money, and within a month, all the cables were laid, and we now have the lights. We have the electricity at the base of each tree, and our goal is on December 7th to light up the Commons in Shrewsbury, which we've never had before. And if you drive through a lot of the towns that are our neighbors, they have these beautiful light displays in their Commons, and we have not been able to do it ever, I don't think. And so
I don't recall it.
now we can.
And will that be a thing? Like, is this how you're kicking off your
Yes.
4 o'clock with the lighting
Exactly.
of the Common?
We'll have a little, ceremonial opening, and we'll turn the lights on, and we'll light the Commons up, and then the party will begin. And we're really excited about it.
I had a lot of people ask about where we irrigating the Common.
Oh.
We're putting in sprinklers.
Well, we used an irrigation company. Apparently,
Said
that's
no.
who you used to dig the trenches. Who would have known? And so that's what
That's the
that
answer.
was.
Would you continue lighting up the Common for the days after the event, or is it one day only?
That's a question, I think, for the Board of Selectmen and Kevin, and I think
Don't
to be
ask us.
determined. I would think it would be really great to have the whole month lights, go on. I think there's some logistics that we have to work through, but it makes sense to do it, doesn't it? Now, just to be clear, we don't have the capability yet of doing canopies of trees, so we'll do it like they do at the botanical gardens, where they just light the trunks of the trees, which is beautiful, and I think it gives you just a beautiful view of the Commons, and it's going to be really nice. So we're very excited about that. And thank you to all the people that supported us, and it took calls like that. People said, absolutely, amen. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Very exciting.
A lot of work you've done so far. It's good.
It's been great. We've done it with excitement.
And jumping back to the association and trying to make the town center more vibrant, you were on the Beal, well, we're still on the Beal Reuse Committee.
Yes, we
kind of
are.
in a hiatus for a moment. But a lot of the discussion about what would happen with Beal was centered on what can it mean to the center.
Right.
It's a very, what happens in that building is really going to help define what's going to happen in the center. And so there's a lot of discussion around that. And the study for the town center, which also had a portion that focused on Beal, really addressed a lot of that. The kind of things that we would like to have so that we could create foot traffic there.
Right.
Again, the Shrewsbury Town Center Association is going to be an integral part of that. But you're right, it did all come together at once.
The pieces were all truly like just sitting around in a big circle, and one by one, through years of effort, frankly, they just all came together at the right time. And I think right now is the time for it's a jumping off point for our town center, and I think we'd all agree we're ready for it. So it'll be really exciting to see what happens with Beal.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that through this organization, anyone, a developer who has an interest in the town center will see the excitement and the investment of the local businesses, and that will encourage them to build it. And we've already come, so we'll make it even a greater place to be. So
So are you going to be looking for volunteers when you get closer to the
event.
Yuletide event?
Definitely, for sure. I know we've got the Rotary Club has agreed to help us, but we're always looking for help. So feel free to reach out to anybody. If you go on our website, you'll see who the members are. You don't have to know anybody that's a member. If you feel like you want to get involved, we would encourage you to come to the meetings and help us. And what we've found is that the more people that have gotten involved, the better ideas come up. There's subcommittees formed, and that's when the excitement happens.
Great.
It's really great.
We're excited.
It's an exciting time
Oh.
to be able to really vision and think about what we want our town center to be. I mean, that's something that's going to last for generations. So there's pressure to get it right, but also it's really exciting, I would think, to be able to really let your imagination sort of take you into the future as to what people will enjoy.
It's interesting. We had a visit from, we thought about the Canal District and what's happened there in Worcester, and we all know the story behind that. And Amy Lynn Chase, who is a very integral part of that association, came and spoke to a group of us at Town Hall and kind of gave us their blueprint for how they started. It was grassroots and organic, and one by one, communities or businesses got involved, and she just made some great points that we all made, copious notes on, and said we'll make this a part of our group as well. So that was another exciting little piece to add.
All right. I think
Great.
we're almost out of time.
Oh, boy.
Went by
I know, it
quickly.
went by very
talk
quickly.
that much? I'm sorry.
No, I think it was wonderful, and I also think that we're just so fortunate in this community to have people that are willing to give their time to make it a better place for everyone. And you see that in the Lakeway District, you see that with the Spirit of Shrewsbury that we mentioned, and now we see it again with the Town Center Association. So thank you, and thank you to your group for everything that you're doing, and for being here with us today. And I also did want to mention before we go off the air that we have a special town meeting coming up on October 21st at 7 o'clock at the Oak Middle School. And so stay tuned for the warrant for that, and town meeting members will be receiving their packets in the mail. So anybody else have anything?
Great.
We're out of time.
All right. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.